Kameda is an introverted idiot with the face of a blobfish who always gets snubbed by his crush until he luckily bags the most popular girls in his school who would do anything to have his sausage. Just before he got lucky, he was in the homeroom teacher's office deciding his career choice after high school. She is surprised that his primary career choice is horned beetle, and he tells her he once caught one for a kid, and it made the kid happy, so he wants to make a career out of it so he can be the next Santa Claus. However, the teacher is disappointed by how stupid this year's students are and suggests he could become a manga artist instead. He later returns to his class and meets Tsuneki sitting on his desk. He tells her to excuse him because he wants to sit. However, she spites him as she stands up from his desk and says she likes to mess with him because she enjoys seeing him look like an idiot. As she leaves, the loser sees the sweat left on his table from her cakes, and she gives him a sus look, wondering what the heck he is thinking. Later that night, Kameda spends some time playing what looks like Monopoly with his sister, and as she begins to lose since she keeps getting into jail, she stands up in frustration, saying it's not like she is pained or anything like that. As she heads to her room, she asks him if he is preparing for his final exams, so he won't receive the lashing of his life from their parents again. Kameda replies that he is trying his best and adds that he has been thinking about his future lately. His sister Tomo is surprised, and he tells her that although he is not sure what he wants to do with his miserable life yet, he wants to give it his best effort. The next day at school, during lunch, he approaches Tsuneki at her friend's table, and they ask him if it's true that he wants to become a manga artist, surprising him that the homeroom teacher has spread a false rumor. He sits down with them, and they start teasing him about making plot-filled mangas, but he tells them to shut up about his future career. Later in the library, while the dumbest kid in class studies with the smartest kid, Tsuneki comes to trouble them, and she begs Ikyo to help her study too, surprising Kameda, who knows she is doing this so she can keep messing with him. Following this, during sports, Ikyo tells Kameda he saw Tsuneki going out with an older man a few days back, making him think she must be into sugar daddies. This surprises Kameda, prompting his friend to ask him if this upsets him, but he replies that he just thinks this only happens in animes. A few days later, after the exams, the results are released, and Kameda and Tsuneki manage to pass their exams, making Tsuneki's friend sad that she was the only one who failed. After the girls leave, Kyugo appears to tell Kameda that she is surprised he is now popular with ladies, unlike when he was miserable and lonely. After she leaves, Kameda thanks Ikyo for helping him in passing his exams, and Ikyo invites him to join his cram school's summer course, where they will go to a resort hotel to study for 2 weeks. However, his lazy ass tells him he will pass on this because all he wants to do now is to have fun. Later that night, while he heads home, he sees Tsuneki working in a cafe alongside an elderly man, and he wonders if that is the man Ikyo was talking about. A few moments later, he admires Tsuneki and thinks she is way above his league. He then wonders if working part-time would increase his chance of getting a girlfriend, but he quickly snaps himself out of this and decides to call Ikyo to tell him he is interested in the summer course. The next day, he packs his bags and sets out for the summer course. At the hotel, while he talks with Ikyo, he suddenly sees a figure by a window far off, but by the time he shows Ikyo, she was already gone. Ikyo then tells him that there is a rumor that the ghost of a third year who jumped to death shows up there, scaring him. Later that night, Kameda feels terrible as he discovers he has the lowest IQ among all the students there. On getting to his room, he sulks, feeling that he should have followed Tsuneki, who went to the beach instead, as it could have gotten him closer to her. However, he slaps himself out of his delulu and reminds himself that he came here because he wanted to change himself to become a better person. He moves over to the window to yell to the universe that he won't give up no matter what, but suddenly, a stranger grabs his window frame, shocking him. A strange, spooky girl appears and crawls in light. She came right out of zombie apocalypse, attempting to touch Kameda, who is now almost pissing his pants. However, she suddenly tells him she is freezing and asks if she can borrow his towel. He becomes surprised as he discovers it is Tsuneki and wonders what she is doing here. She asks him what he did to be punished with a summer course like this, and he explains that he made his own decision. He returns the question, asking her what happened to her, and she explains that she was abducted by her parents when they found out she was working behind their backs, and they came to drop her off at this hotel located deep in the mountains. She tried to climb the mountain, but couldn't because of the rain and some deer herd chasing her until she found an open window and climbed in. As she keeps talking, Rose sees the chair she is sitting on getting wet and wonders if it is the rain or if she is leaking from her floodgates. She checks her bag to see if there is something to change into, But she doesn't find anything because they have also gotten wet from the rain. Kameda offers to get her some clothes from the other girls in the next room, but Tsuneki discourages him because they would think he is a creepy, cultured loser. She asks to borrow his clothes instead, surprising him and making him excited that his crush is gonna wear his clothes. She takes his clothes and leaves, while the idiot stares at her giant as she goes. The next day, during lunch, Kameda and his friend talk with Tsuneki and her new friend, Mako, and she complains that one of the teachers gave her the punishment to wash the toilet because she was trying to run away. She then asks Kameda if she can clean the girl's bathroom while still wearing the clothes, and hearing this, the simp feels excited and tells her it's okay, surprising Ikuo, who tells him he is nothing short of a bit of male. After this, Tsuneki serves her punishment and complains to Mako about how miserable her day was. However, Tsuneki requests she teach her how to use the washing machine. While Mako later puts her through, Tsuneki is excited that she is more of a wifey material now, since she will be able to do this for her boyfriend. Mako asks if Kameda is her boyfriend, as everyone has been discussing it. Tsuneki asks her what they are saying, and Mako reluctantly tells her that the students think she is a whore because she is walking around shamelessly in Kameda's sweats. Tsuneki acts like the students have finally caught them and begins to say naughty things they do together behind closed doors, exciting Mako, who wishes to hear more. Following this, while Kameda stands by the vending machine, he suddenly hears two girls talking about his relationship with Tsuneki and the naughty they suspect the two of them are engaging in. He quickly comes to explain that he and Tsuneki are not like that, but the two girls seem to be really pissed, which would make you think their stupid asses are just low-key jealous because they are as single as a dollar bill and ugly as fog. However, Tsuneki doesn't help matters when she appears with his sweats already washed and agrees to the crap the girls are saying. After they leave, Tsuneki drags Kameda away to an isolated place and gives him his clothes, thanking him for helping her. He asks her why she brought him here, and she replies that she doesn't want to add to the rumor already on ground. Later, while they talk, Kameda is surprised it's her first time doing the laundry, and she tells him that she only makes midnight snacks at home while her mom does the laundry and all. However, Kameda tells her she doesn't look like someone who does that though, making her pissed. So she tells him she will make snacks for him at midnight to prove to him that she isn't capping. She takes his sweats again and leaves, and later at midnight, they both gather with Ikuo and Mako, and Tsuneki makes a delicious snack for them, which makes Kameda blush like an idiot. Later that night, while Tsuneki does the dishes, Kameda appears and offers to do it instead, but she tells him she is used to doing this at work and wants to repay him before she leaves. Kameda is surprised that she is leaving, and she tells him it's because she doesn't have clothes to wear. He tells her she can hold on to his sweats as long as she wants, but she insists on leaving. However, he tells her he won't let her go because he doesn't want her to be in danger and be chased by a herd of deers again. A week later, and he gets so lost in his thoughts that he responds in fright when someone suddenly pokes him, calling the whole class attention. He realizes it is Tsuneki and wonders what she is doing in his class. She replies that they are in his class today. She talks in ASMR, which gives the idiot a tingling session that almost makes his pants damp. The other classmates notice this and tell him to get a room already since they have chosen to be silly and not study. A loser among them who has nothing going on for him even says he wishes he was in a room alone with Tsuneki. Upon hearing this, she unzips her sweats to show her sus top, so they can all have an idea of how big her melons are. However, this embarrasses Kameda, and he quickly covers her. Later, after the class, he meets Tsuneki, who asks him if that's how his classmates behave. He tells her she must have been too hot for them to handle. He then suggests that it might help if they don't talk to each other much in class to prevent suspicions from their classmates, and hearing this, Tsuneki tells him she won't speak to him again. Moreover, she asks him why he joined the summer course, and he goes speechless because his dumb skull can't make up anything to tell her. Later that night, while he eats dinner after studying for a while, he thinks about the question Tsuneki asked him in the afternoon, and he says that he couldn't tell her she was the one who spurred him into wanting to change himself to become better. Tsuneki soon appears in his room and tells him she needs someone to play with, but Kameda is not in for some childish moments since he's got to study. However, she continues to talk to him, and feeling distracted, he asks her if she isn't disturbed that other students are probably studying in their rooms now while she is here wasting away her tuition fee. However, she replies that she learned from a TED talk show that she shouldn't compare herself to others, surprising Kameda, who immediately thinks he should distance himself from an idiot like this. Tsuneki soon grabs a book and starts studying, but shortly after, She complains that she wishes she was on the beach having fun instead of being forced to study. She adds that she would have worn a bikini and had some losers hit on her, and the idiot standing right before her tells her she would look cute in them. Tsuneki asks if he would love to see her wearing one right now. She then drags him to the men's bath in a bikini, but Kameda is shy that he is in such a place with a girl at midnight, while tying his pareo of many colors. She asks him why they are in the men's bath anyway and replies that she would like to get soaked while looking at his birthday suit. A few minutes later, they enter the pool and maintain social distancing, but the lights suddenly come on as they talk. Tsuneki quickly buries herself in the water, and a teacher comes in feeling like Michael Phelps. Upon seeing Kameda, he asks what the heck he is doing in the bath at this time, and Kameda replies that he was waiting for him so they could have a men's talk. However, the teacher tells him he should get out of the water and go to his room, but Kameda stands up, not wanting him to discover that there's a girl with him in the bath. The teacher surprisingly sees him wearing his sus pareo and wonders, who the heck is this bozo? Meanwhile, Kameda offers to wash his back, scaring him away because he still cares for his backside. Later that night, while Kameda and Tsuneki talk together, he asks her if she likes Araki, the most popular guy in school, but she doesn't give him a response. Then, he asks her if the man at the cafe is her boyfriend, surprising her that he has seen her at her workplace before. She tells him the man is the owner of the shop, and asks if he was the one who snitched on her since her parents had mentioned that someone had reported her to them. He quickly tells her he wasn't the one, but she doesn't seem to believe him, so she asks that they return to their rooms. Some days later, the summer course ends, and they all prepare to return to their various homes. But Kameda is bothered by the fact that Tsuneki has not spoken to him since that night. Afterward, Tsuneki resigns from her workplace because of her parents. The following week, school resumes, and on Kameda's way to school, he sees Tsuneki from afar staring at Araki and his girlfriend, and he wonders if she really likes him. However, upon seeing his disgusting face, she hurries away, making him realize that she really thinks he is the snitch. Several weeks later, Kameda receives a letter from Tsuneki asking them to meet outside. When they meet, she returns his sweats, surprising him, and as she prepares to leave, Kameda stops her because he still wonders why she has been giving him silent treatment. She tells him not to let her friend, Yuki, know they were close during the summer course. Kameda wonders why she is avoiding him, and she tells him she is trying to prevent Yuki from suspecting them. However, Kameda still thinks she is just yapping, so she takes the sweats back from him, telling him he isn't getting it back if he continues to act like a deranged idiot. However, he tells her he also won't take it from her until she makes him understand what is going on. Meanwhile, while they continue their stupid arguments common to couples who are already considering divorce options, a very unattractive girl appears and introduces herself as Makoto from the Student Disciplinary Committee. It had been reported that the students were beginning to replicate what happens in Ohio, and she came to scout the school environment to see if there is any scapegoat. Makoto soon reveals that she saw some students going hardcore earlier, but she couldn't stop them because of how intense the plot development was. She then reveals more details that make Tsuneki immediately realize that it's Yuki. She immediately heads to the location with Kameda, and they see Yuki being naughty with Araki. Tsuneki is pissed, and after Araki leaves, Tsuneki breaks the ice by asking Yuki why she snitched on her. Yuki replies that Araki seemed to be into her, so she had to remove her out of the way. However, Tsuneki doesn't feel betrayed even though the rubbish she is hearing is coming from her best friend, and rather appreciates Yuki for telling her. While Kameda watches them in awe, wondering what tier of stupidity Tsuneki falls into, Yuki asks him what he is doing here. Tsuneki replies that she brought him so he would know the truth about everything since she had initially suspected him to be the snitch. Following this, Tsuneki serves Kameda a plate of whatever the heck that is to apologize for doubting him. Kameda wonders why she kept avoiding her when she already knew who the snitch was, and she explains that Yuki would have found that they were together during the summer course if they had been all friendly, and she would have spread the rumor because she has a loose mouth. Kameda realizes she was protecting him from the bullies in class who would have pounced on him if they knew he spent the whole summer course with the hottest girl in school. Tsuneki returns his sweats now that they are even, and as Kameda accepts it, he grabs her hand and tells them they should go to the beach. Later at the beach, Tsuneki gets into a sus position and asks Kameda if his magnum is loaded, but he replies no and claims to be an insult. However, she tells him she is feeling sus and would love to get wet, the kind the ocean can't do to her. She gets even more sus and kisses him, shocking Kameda, who thinks he is not worthy to get a kiss from the hottest girl in school, especially because of how messed up his face is. Later that night, Kimita thinks he's got a better chance, so he tries to use the doyo rise he learned from Kai Cenat. But she doesn't even allow him to talk and reveals that she is going to a faraway culinary school after their graduation to improve her skills. Hence, it's best that they remain friends. Kimita feels his stupid ass has just been friend-zoned, but she tells him he is the reason she has decided to do this since the night he commended her cooking skills, so he should not stop her. Kimita tells her he understands but feels that when he thought they would get closer, they only grew apart, and when he reasons that women are just so difficult to understand, she suddenly pecks him, shocking him. At this point, he realizes he is just the nice guy every girl thinks is cute, but doesn't get laid no matter how hard he tries. From then onward, he feels terrible that he couldn't ask her out that night, after which the two become more distant. A few weeks later, Kimita plays a game with his friends on their outdated PS Vita at school. While at it, an average-looking girl named Miyame appears to accuse them of group-watching corn behind the stairs, but they inform her they are only wasting some time here playing a game called Love Deer, prompting her to ask if they want any items for the game. But Kimita replies that he has a big item just for her, which is about 7 inches long. She immediately introduces herself to them while showing them her game console and tells them to trade items with her. She joins them in playing the game, but Mako soon comes to call Miyame. She sees Kimita and his fellow idiots, but she is not surprised because they are notorious for stabbing classes to play games behind the stairs. Upon realizing that the MC is Kimita, Miyame is surprised to finally meet the renowned gamer Otaku in school, who takes gaming more seriously than his future. As she admires him, the simp feels like a Sigma for a split second, to have a cute girl drooling over him. But Mako quickly drags her off. He couldn't sleep that night as he couldn't stop thinking about Miyame, and the idiot became determined to get better at the game so he could match her skills. The next day, the three mofos head to their usual gaming spot and are shocked when they find Miyama already waiting for them. She tells them she's got an item for them and takes them to a karaoke bar, leaving the dudes wondering what the heck this place has to do with a game item. She wastes their time for a while with her awful singing, but the three morons, thinking with their loaded magnums, reason that she should be on America's Got Talent. After singing, she takes her seat and finally shows them the item she promised them, and from then on, they'd all start to play games together. One day during one of their gaming sessions, they play a multiplayer game, but just as they start the game, Oraiki loses focus thanks to the level 10 GAT in front of him and almost stains his pants until an enemy ice skates him in the game. However, the loser is in self-denial and asks why he was ice skate like that, but no one cares enough to give him an answer that befits his low IQ. The next day, they continue their gaming session. After ice skating a huge monster, Kimita wins a bunny ring that can level up his stats, but the dude, trying to act like a gentleman that he is clearly not, offers it to Miyama to use. Seeing this, Akua thinks he is an idiot and tells him it is better he equips his character instead of simping after a girl above his league. Anyways, the dude doesn't take it back even though he is sad, and upon noticing this, she brings out a bunny strap she made recently and gives it to him, surprising everyone. As this goes on, Akua remembers an ongoing time-limited crane game event to commemorate the release of the Millivern game, so they head to the shop immediately to play the crane game. Afterward, as soon as Miyame and Kimita get talking, she asks him if he's interested in Guskull, a game she used to play back in middle school. Kimita tells her that there is an event about the game being held there and asks if they should try a little co-op. They soon team up and play against some random kids who seem to be too confident in their chances of winning, but Miyame shows no mercy and whoops their stupid asses. However, Kimita approaches the young chaps and gives them the bunny strap Miyame gave him to make up for the beating of their lives they had just received. Later, he tells Miyame she should have been more lenient with them, or else no one would want to play with her if she continued this. Anyways, she thanks him for joining her in playing a game, which gives her a nostalgic feeling of the past. She then asks him if he would like to be her Guskull partner, claiming that she can get a lot better playing with, and he gladly agrees cause why not. Some days later, after playing games at their usual spot, Miyame stands up to leave for class. After leaving, Kimita tells his pals about how playing Guskull has been sucking his pockets dry, because that's the only game Miyame plays. They ask him to suggest another game that she might find appealing to her, so he shows her a bus driving game later, but Miyame finds it boring and heads over to play Guskull instead. It was at that moment he knew she was after his life. He leaves her with the game, and as he walks across the gaming center, he meets some girls who seem to be cautious about being caught in a place like this. While he talks with the two ugly girls, Miyame soon joins him and tells him she needs to head to cram school right away, prompting Kamada to ask which cram school it is. She tells him it's the one by the station, which one of the two girls immediately recognizes as the famous elite prep school. Miyame takes her leave, and after she does, Kamada brags that they have been playing games together. However, the girls ask the idiot why he is not going to a cram school. They tell him if he continues like this, he might as well repeat a year and end up being their classmate. On his way to the store, he stops to think of how great it would be to attend the same cram school with his crush. But when he remembers how messy he would look before her, he shakes the thought off his mind. However, he suddenly sees Ikuo after meeting Miyame and wonders what the hell is happening. He heads home to meet Tomo to ask what the girls are saying, but he runs out of the room when she tries to tell him what the girls think about him. The next day at the game center, Kamita steps out to the bathroom for some time only to return and find out that one of the boys, Takeshi, which Miyame whooped his ass the other day, has brought Sumeki to challenge her. As they prepare to battle in Guskull, Kamita asks Sumeki if the one-eyed buffoon is her brother, but she tells him to mind his business. However, Takeshi says he will reveal the information if they win. The intense game battle begins, but after many exchanges between the Transformers characters rip-off, Miyame's team wins, shocking Tsuneki. However, Araki and Ikuo see a member of the student disciplinary committee outside disciplining a student who has already been caught, and they wonder if they should run away. They quickly inform Kamada about it so he can escape with Miyame. While they buy some time, and upon seeing the committee too, Kamada takes to his heels with Miyame. After escaping to safety, Kamada is still curious about Tsuneki's relationship with the little boy, and she reveals that he is her boss, spoiled kid. Tsuneki soon leaves after a brief tension with Miyame, and following that Kamada and Miyame head to a cafe to chill over a mocktail. Kamada asks Miyame what her relationship is with Tsuneki, and she reveals that Tsuneki used to be her junior in middle school. They used to visit the arcade together and have fun until their relationship was hit by TruckCon. However, Miyame tells Kamada that she is having more fun playing games now than she did in middle school, all thanks to him, and he blushes in awkwardness even though this is meant spending all his life savings without insurance in the process. After a while, Kamada finishes his mocktail but leaves a cherry in the glass. So Miyame asks him if she can put his cherry in her mouth, and he gladly agrees, hoping she would also return the favor by giving him her cherry to eat too. The next day, Ikuo and Araki serve punishment since they were caught at the game center, and they tell Kamada that they have been banned from going to the arcade for the rest of the term. However, Araki soon expresses how they have been under pressure since Miyame joined their gaming sessions because of how good she is. He finally says that he missed those days when it was just three of them playing with their joysticks and enjoying themselves. Kamada reveals that he saw Ikuo meeting with Miyame the previous day, and Ikuo replies that they happened to meet by chance when he went to look for his crush, who he thought was attending the cram school. Afterward, Araki and Ikuo tease Kamada about liking the girl, but Bro becomes shy and says he only respects her as a gamer. The next day at school, Kamada gets concerned about Miyame since she didn't come to school, so he takes Tsuneki to an isolated room to ask about what happened yesterday, and she explains that when they were in middle school, Miyame was the most popular girl in school. She had incredible talent in everything. She did that surpassed all her mates, which made her the talk among the students. The girls began to hate on her because their dumb heads couldn't match up, and those who thought they were Sigma shot their shots, only to realize that they had been beta males all along. By her third year, everyone had already abandoned her, and she had become alone. Tsuneki then tells Katami that when she saw him hanging with her, she immediately felt that he was eventually gonna have his ego bashed. But the simp replies that he never had much of an ego anyway, since he is just a useless piece of shit with the face of a scumbag. He tells Tsuneki that he will never distance himself from Miyame, and following that he calls Miyame to find out why she is not in school. However, Miyame tells him she is fine, and asks if he wants to play Guskull today too. He replies that the DC chairman is already watchful to catch any scapegoat that will visit the game center. Hearing this, Miyame invites him over to her house, shocking the cultured idiot, who immediately thinks of 1,001 ways to shift her panties. He manages to comport himself so he doesn't jizz his pants from too much excitement, and later, upon reaching her apartment, a strange dude draws him in. He wonders for a moment if Miyame plans to be sandwiched between them for some two-directional clapping. But the guy introduces himself as Sauda, Miyame's elder brother. He gets talking with him while he waits for Miyame, who is in the shower. She later arrives and takes him to her room to play Guskel. She tells him she spent all night trying to beat a strong enemy but couldn't, and Kameda grabs the gamepad to try it out. However, she tells him it would have been easier if it had been the four of them. Kameda reveals that those two have been punished and are not allowed to play games till after the finals, making Miyame sad it was her fault. She also feels terrible that it seems like she stole him away from his friends, and even though Kameda tries to convince her otherwise, she doesn't listen. She grabs her phone and heads to the toilet, saying she'd get someone else to play with. She immediately calls Sumeki and challenges her to a game battle. But Sumeki replies that she has no time to waste. She only wanted to play with her in their previous encounter because of Takeshi. Sumeki finally tells her that she has outgrown playing games since middle school, but points out that Miyame now has a partner she can play with. After the call, she shyly tells Kameda she wants to play with him. He gets excited and tells her he has a secret spot the DC chairman can never reach. They head to the secret arcade, and getting there, they head to the soccer table. They start playing by striking the trackballs, and Miyame beats him even though it's her first time playing it. Meanwhile, she realizes she has cut her finger while striking the trackball, and Kameda offers to treat it. The next day, Kameda waits for her at their usual gaming spot in school, and while she delays coming, he eagerly waits for her and fantasizes about talking with her again. She soon appears, and he becomes red upon seeing her. They speak for a moment, and then Kameda suddenly invites him to accompany her to the Komima event. He replies that this feels more like a date, prompting her to ask if he would like to go on a date with her. He tells her yes, and that it'd be a reward for helping her at the upcoming Comical Market event. A week later, Kameda and his sister arrive at the Comical Market event, so they start to look around for Shiori and Miyame, only to find Miyame dressed in a bunny costume. On seeing her, Kameda's meat flings into a horizontal position as he blushes. But on the other hand, Miyame is not so excited and is embarrassed at the stupid costume on her body. Some potential customers appear to check what they are selling, and while the other girls try to persuade them, the worst salesman of the entire event shows his ugly face and scares them away. He feels embarrassed that his horrible face has done it again and apologizes for doing the opposite of what he was hired for. However, he comes up with an idea to check if the products can be used as body decorations, but while he tests where to place them on Miyame's body, she begins to feel sus and runs off immediately before she wets herself. Kameda is surprised and starts looking for her. He finds her before a group of desperate photographers clicking away at her, even though she is uncomfortable. Ro thinks of entering their midst to take her away, but they don't allow him in. He sees Shiori, who tells him that the photographers must truly love Miyame to be all over her like that, but Kameda snaps back at her, saying he wants to get her out of there. In a bid to help, Shiori suddenly unveils her Guskel cosplay costume, distracting the photographers and allowing Kameda to escape with Miyama. He unknowingly runs off to the bathroom area, but when he realizes, he immediately attempts to leave. She tells him to help her unzip her costume so she can change into her regular clothes. He becomes embarrassed when he sees the position of the zipper, just over her floodgate, so he tells her his hands can't reach there to avoid having to do it. However, she gets into a sus position fit for backstrokes and tells him to put it in. Following that, the event continued, and after the day's sales, they stopped by a cafe to eat some food. However, Kameda is surprised to see Tsuneki working there, but he pretends not to know her so as not to raise any suspicion from the others. Later at the table, after talking for a while, Miyame gives Kameda a gift to thank him for helping out at the Comical Market event. She also expresses that this season of her life has been entertaining and eventful even more than all she enjoyed during her middle school years, thanks to the fact that Kameda chose to be with her. However, she announced that she would have to start preparing for exams the next day. Later on their way home, as they prepare to separate, Miyame appreciates Sumeki and tells her they will come again some other time. However, Sumeki frowns on seeing Kameda's ugly face again, so he tells her she looks better when she smiles. Miyame becomes jealous as she hears this and leaves immediately, surprising Kameda. He immediately follows her to find out what happened, and she tells him she just realized that she wore the bunny cosplay costume all day, but he never complimented her. She tells him she's leaving, but he suddenly reminds her of her promise to go on a date with him if he helps at the Komima. She is surprised and tells him it's already late, and he replies that this is his only chance to take her on a date since she will start preparing for exams the next day. They suddenly realize that love is in the air when they see different couples lurking in corners, swapping spit. He soon grabs her hand and tells her he wants her to be his girlfriend. but she turns him down by saying she is not good at this boyfriend-girlfriend thing, which makes him sad. He looks up at the moon to think about his miserable life and wonders if his face has done it again. But Miyame suddenly notices his Adam's apple and starts to suck on it, shocking him. She tells him she has a thing for Adam's apples and couldn't hold herself back when she saw his own, which she has been eyeing for a while. However, Kameda prefers she ate his sausage instead, not his apple. She notices the scar on his neck caused by her lips and apologizes immediately. She offers him a bandage, and afterward, she tells him there's something else about him she also likes, which is how he always comes running after her. She then asks him if he would keep coming to her, and Kameda suddenly hugs her, surprising her. Afterward, they proceed to kiss each other. Several weeks later, Kameda hooks up with another girl named Kyuko, a first-year student who is a comic otaku, and when his classmates ask about her, he tells them she is his childhood friend. However, the girls mock her and say she is still a child for liking comics as a high schooler. Later, while Kameda talks with Kyuko about how the comics she showed him earlier have changed over the years to become explicit and filled with plot, Kyuko tells him he has changed too, as he never used to think of what others said in middle school. He replies that they will mock his life out of him if his classmates happen to find him reading such a disgusting comic. While they talk, Tomo appears behind them and asks what they are doing together. Then Mr. Ape also appears and is shocked to see Kameda. Tomo leaves immediately, and the ape threatens to fry Kameda's balls if he ever leaks the fact he and his sister were on the roof alone together. Later, Kyuko asks him out to the cafe to get some pancakes, but Kameda is reluctant because eating pancakes in such a place will reduce his masculine aura. Kyuko tells him he doesn't have to care much about it since he doesn't give off guy vibes, so maybe he is not straight. Bro takes this as an insult to his Sigma persona, so he tells her he will show her how much of a man he is. At the cafe, the glutton finishes a pile of plates of pancakes and tells Kyuko that only a man could eat this much, but she still doesn't feel him and tells him the most manly thing he can do is his single ass getting a girlfriend. However, Bro doesn't know game even though he is gamer. Later that night, he asks Tomo what the heck she was doing alone with that ape on the rooftop, but she tells him not to ask her a stupid question, and that if he has found a girl, he should also go up there to riz her too. However, she later reveals that the dude asked for advice regarding the home ec club, surprising him. He asks what the home ec club does, and she replies that it's a girls-only club that takes clothes you don't need off your hands, which makes it popular with girls who need pocket change. However, Kameda thinks they are into some shady business. Meanwhile, Kyuko is at home thinking about how Kameda called her childish earlier that day because she refused to outgrow everything she liked in middle school. She stares at her comic collections, and the next day, she packs them and takes them to a park to drop them off. She soon meets two girls, one of whom engages her in a conversation and asks her why she looks like the Hulk slapped her. She replies that a boy she has known forever said she was childish, and it seems like he's grown up more than her in high school, causing her stress. The girl tells her to join the home ec club, which will help her develop the feminine charm that will win her childhood over. She then tells Kyuko to come the following week at night, surprising her. She asks why she is meeting him at night, and the girl tells her to come along with his childhood friend if she is in doubt. On Monday night, she heads to the club with Kameda, and upon introducing themselves, Kameda becomes curious about what they do. She soon sees a sus gown on a mannequin. He becomes embarrassed and asks what the heck they are doing with that, but they tell him to step out for some time if he wants to know. After Kameda leaves, the two girls begin the transformation ritual on Kyuko. A few moments later, the three meet Kameda outside, dressed in kimonos, and while they sit by the table to talk, the girls ask Kyuko if she is ready to join the club. However, Kameda interrupts before she replies to them, and he asks why they buy used clothes as he can't allow Kyuko to join a shady club like that. The matter almost escalates into a physical altercation, but Nagesawa, the club's ex-president, intervenes and explains they buy used clothes because their budget can't cover expenses for stuff like the kimonos and dumplings, so they reuse old fabric and make clothes to sell. Kyuko finally reveals her desire to join the club, and Kameda wishes her the best of luck. 3 months later, it's almost Christmas, so one day in class, Tsuneki's classmates come to ask her about her plans for Christmas Eve, and she tells them she has a couple of things laid out for that day, with dinner at a fancy hotel being the last on the list. Kameda overhears this and is surprised that someone actually got her to agree to a date. While he thinks about how great a rizzler the guy must be, Aiku appears before him to talk about Christmas Eve too. He initially thinks he has come to tell him what they will do for Christmas, but Ikuo suddenly tells him he's got plans too. He soon explains that he will be spending time with his grade school crush, making Kameda realize that he has to be the one with a problem for being so single that later, he heads to the home ec club room and finds a girl sleeping in a strange costume. She wakes up only for him to discover that it's Kuko. He becomes surprised and asks the heck she is doing in that costume, to which she replies that she is modeling the costumes the seniors are making for the Founders Festival. She then offers him cake and tea to review as she has been making a lot of cakes in preparation for the upcoming festival. But Kameda also wants to eat her cakes. On tasting the cake, Kameda is surprised that she's gotten so good in such a short time of joining the club. Later, as he prepares to leave, he tries telling her to have a date with him after the Founders Festival, but he stops midway and tells her not to worry because he's got no balls. He heads over to meet Tsuneki to recommend a date plan for Christmas, and she tells him to try adult Christmas options. Kameda immediately checks Google to see what this means, and the idiot becomes fascinated by what he doesn't even understand. He later heads to the home ec club room, where he is told that they are having a problem with costumes to use for the upcoming festival, so he offers to donate some of the clothes he used when he was much younger. He takes Kyuko to his house to give her the clothes. On their way back, he shows her the adult Christmas plans based on Tsuneki's recommendation and asks her if she would love to come with him after the Founders Festival. But she immediately objects that she will have to clean up the home ec club, so she would have to pass on this, making Kameda's spit hard to swallow, because this is the third rejection he is getting from girls. They continue walking back, and he asks her how she sees him, to which she responds that he is just a friend to her. Meanwhile, the other two girls from the home ec club spies on them, and upon meeting Kyuko later, they tease her about Kameda asking her out on adult hotel hopping. Kyuko becomes embarrassed and hides her face. However, she asks them why guys get so sus during Christmas Eve, but they are also clueless as to why that is and tell her they will take her to a more experienced person on the subject. The next day, they meet Tsuneki to ask the same question, and she gives them a whole lecture on it, more than you have probably ever heard in your boring life. As Tsuneki asks why they are asking this, and the two girls start to indirectly mock Kameda, making Kyuko feel bad, and she excuses herself. She later tells them that her declining Kameda's request must have hurt him, and she doesn't like that they are mocking him. Some days later, while Kyuko heads home from school, she almost becomes Truck-kun's next victim, but Kameda saves her. So as they walk home together a few minutes later, she asks him if he asked anyone else on a date for Christmas Eve, and he replies no, adding that he and Akari only went to a karaoke bar where they met Tsuneki and friends. Akari jokingly tried to show him the art of res, but he was rejected faster than your father left you for milk and never returned. Kyuko tells him she is relieved that he is still his usual self, but he doesn't understand what she is talking about. She then tells him she wants them to remain as close as possible for a very long time as childhood friends that they have always been. It was at this point he realized that she had friend-zoned his stupid ass. Following that, as they continue their walk home, after an embarrassing moment at the panty store, she tells him to come and see the Christmas tree decorations the home ec club made for the upcoming festival. On getting there, he is stunned by the Christmas tree's beauty. The Founders Festival Executive Committee chairman and her partner are pleased with the result and commend the club for their efforts. However, after they all leave with Kyuko and Kameda remaining, Kyuko secretly reveals that they ran out of raw materials while decorating the tree, so they had to improvise with underwear, shocking him, but he says he will pretend he didn't hear that. Afterward, he asks her what her schedule is for the Founders Festival, and while she is about to tell him how she won't be available again, just like the previous time, he cuts in and says he was only asking about her schedule for the festival. She rambles on about her schedule for the festival, which he obviously doesn't give a shit about, and after she leaves, he feels terrible upon realizing that there is really no way here. On his way home, he sees a slide on a playground and remembers his childhood moments with Kyuko. However, as he attempts to continue walking, he suddenly sees a dude with the locust mask climbing the slide, so he immediately approaches the playground, only to discover it is Ikuo. Ikuo makes some hand movements but suddenly falls off the slide, making Kameda wonder if he is high on cheap crack. As he lies on the ground, Ikuo feels like a loser and soon reveals that his crush turned down his date request for Christmas Eve. Bro gets angry and punches the ground, saying he doesn't want to be just friends anymore. Kameda, who can relate to this, sympathizes with him and suggests they take this pain to the gym. Later that night, Kimita does some push-ups for the first time in his life, and he vents his anger on his desk as he thinks about how easy it was for Kyuko to say no. Following this, he wakes up before dawn and goes for a run just to make himself feel better. The next day at the Founders Festival, doubled as Christmas Eve, Kimita summons enough balls to tell Kyuko that he wants to talk with her. She tries to decline with an excuse that she is busy with selling cakes, but he tells her he will wait till the end of the festival. She says she will be busy cleaning up after, and he replies he will wait till after that. Kyuko then says she will have to report with the home ec club, but Kimita won't let this opportunity pass him, and he replies that he doesn't mind waiting till after that. So, with no excuse left, she agrees to meet him on the rooftop. Kimita heads toward the rooftop after this, but on his way, he sees a couple cuddling on their feet from afar, and the cultured idiot stops to watch them. He remains here until Kyuko finishes all her duties and finds him peeking through the window. Kimita gets startled and falls to the ground, and as she discovers what he is looking at, she kicks his ugly ass and leaves in anger. He immediately runs after her to the rooftop, apologizing for being a creep. He starts to razz her up and tells her he wants her to see him as a man. He eventually asks her out and asks her to be his girlfriend, and following that, she sits in between his legs because there is no other space on the long bench. This is followed by some unprofitable discussion that only happens between lovers. She stands up and stretches her hand toward him, so he grabs it and draws her close to hug her. Then, bro finally kissed her, and they lived happily ever after. If you have reached this far, comment Riz King. And if you like anime recaps like this, then watch this video right here.